Comics Plus, what is going on? My name is Akasan. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing swell. And this is the next day after Release the Snyder Cut has finally been released next year. Or will finally be released next year. A lot of you guys have been emailing me about this situation, and I've already given my comments on some of this earlier, but there was one particular question in Ask Akasan that somebody asked me, and this one came from one of the Red Dreaded Nation fans who was basically a little concerned, and they were just sort of wondering, and this is a question that's been going on ever since it was announced that the Snyder Cut will be coming out to HBO Max, and it's been brewing in the fandom for quite some time, even as early as Sonic, when changes were made then, is by allowing the Snyder Cut to be released, is that giving in to the bullies? Is that giving in to online terrorism, online pressure? Is that essentially letting the bullies win? And my short answer to that is no. Now, I understand why so many people would think that, because for the last 2 or 3 years, if you're not part of this particular Snyder cult, you're essentially can go drink bleach and die, right? That's the kind of feeling that we've been seeing. If you're from the outside looking in, if every time you would go on Twitter, every time you would go anywhere, and anytime the Warner Brothers would be like, hey, there's a new movie coming out, release the Snyder Cut, right? Every time you would see something, release the Snyder Cut, right? Every time Warner Brothers had something new, hey, Shazam, nah, you guys are gonna fucking die, release the Snyder Cut. You guys are doing terrible, release the Snyder Cut, right? Warner Brothers would just say something about, hey, happy birthday, Ben Affleck, release the Snyder Cut, right? God damn, man. It was ridiculous for the last couple years that you just couldn't believe, like, it was insane. I'm trying to think of what the worst one was that I saw. It probably had something to do with when Warner Brothers was just talking about how they had a new director, or AT&T was bought, and they were like, "Oh, good, release the Snyder Cut. The first thing you should do is release the Snyder Cut," right? And so you can see where it got really ridiculous to a point where it was comical for so many people. Now, that being said, and I've heard so many people say this before, that is a minority of what I believe the core group of the Release the Snyder Cut people are all about. I think it's a loud minority, but it only feels loud because it's online. If I come up here on my platform and I say something and it gets retweeted a few times on Twitter, you would assume, people just automatically assume that 1,000 people are behind it, or a bunch of people are behind it. That's the crazy point about social media in general. You could be the smallest person, but have a huge voice if it gets enough traction. And even with a little bit of traction, you feel it's just a little bigger. There's so many online personalities that get so much credit for so minor of a difference that they really make in the thick of things. That's what's crazy about this entire thing in general, about movies in general. You love them and you can be passionate about it, but let's not think that your opinion is greater than the general audience. This is the point I'm trying to say. So with that being said, I don't think you should be thinking about all those dickheads that were out there harassing people, and it's like, hey, I really like that Aquaman movie. Oh man, they suck a dick, Aqua dick. Release the Snyder Cut. No, don't pay attention to those people. Hey, Shazam was pretty good. Well, it would have been better if they didn't fire Jack Snyder. Blah blah blah. Release the Snyder Cut, right?
I can't believe you want to watch this show. You know they just did a 3-episode arc where Harley beats Penguin, Riddler, and Mr. Freeze using nothing but her Mary Sue powers?
Are you sure you haven't seen the show?
Yeah, 'cause I'm not a 12-year-old girl.
Don't pay attention to those type of people that are only going to do one thing and bring you down, especially on a platform like Twitter. Instead, I would think about the people that were behind the Snyder Cut that were professional, like the people in the industry, almost the entire cast of the Justice League, all the people behind the scenes, Clay Enos, David Ayer, who directed Suicide Squad, all the different people that were still supporting what they wanted to see from the Justice League movie, the original cut that was done, the unfinished Snyder Cut, as it's called, to be released. And in terms of the fandom, again, like I said, the kind of normal type of people that were out there, and even the extreme people that were out there doing things for good. And what I mean by that is they made about over $156,000 just for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. You know, if it wasn't for those type of people, we wouldn't have that type of money going to a good cause. So yes, there's always going to be a very poisonous factor out there with people, for almost every fandom. Star Wars, Spider-Man, oh my God. You're going to see it, and it's always going to be the loudest on social media. But I also think that this is a great reward for people that were professionally stuck by this and responsibly and maturely stuck by promoting the Snyder Cut and hoping that it would be released. And going out there campaigning, having Times Square, all of that decorated with the releasing the Snyder Cut, Comic-Con benches release the Snyder Cut, and doing an airplane flyby release the Snyder Cut. Yeah, it looks a little goofy for people on the outside, but that was very important for a lot of people that were expecting a particular type of movie with Justice League and did not get it. Now, my biggest concern is now that, yes, the Snyder Cut is coming, I hope that it doesn't disrupt and create chaos within the sort of wave, the particular flow of what we're getting now with what I consider much better DC movies and a better DC path right now that it seems like most other people are enjoying, and the money is definitely making a lot more money with billion-dollar movies now and things like that. So I hope that with this release of the Snyder Cut, the fans that have been waiting for it will appreciate it and be able and be satisfied with what's being released and leave it at that and no more. I really do not need to see a rehired Zack Snyder for Justice League 2, 3. Bring all that in. Bring back Ben Affleck. No, a lot of these people have already moved on, and it was a point in time in their lives. It's over, and they're looking to do something bigger and better. And I think particularly the Snyder Cut fans, the Snyder Cult fans, should definitely realize that we shouldn't always be looking backwards. I understand the idea of wanting to see something that was sort of promised or something you were expecting and it's already there, then let's do it. But in terms of the future, I think we have something a lot better within the DC world. So I hope that answers your question. What do you guys think about this? Personally, I'm glad that it's finally coming out sooner than later to satisfy the appetite of people that were expecting something different from Justice League. And after that, I just want to leave it at that and focus on bigger and better things. Take care of yourselves, guys. Make sure you subscribe, send more questions, and again, if you want to know something else, you can always ask Akasan. Talk to you later.